All right, let's bring in Susan Smith. Susan is a Liberal strategist. She is the co-founder of Blue Sky Strategy Group. Susan, you must be happy today. 4 seats short of a majority, but a win is a win.
I'm happy for Canada today, Todd. And yes, the Liberals won. We were 27 points down in December and January. And to come back and even to get a minority government is a huge accomplishment, and is totally reflective, I think, of the mood of Canadians, in the sense that they were seeking stability. They wanted an adult in the room, and they liked what Mark Carney had on offer. Big night, though, late night. I, like many people, were up to the wee hours of the morning. I was there for Mr. Carney's speech last night, and I was struck when he talked about humility and ambition and unity. Those were the 3 key messages of his speech, and he talked about build, baby, build, in terms of the country, the homes, the energy infrastructure, the kind of economy that he wants. So I think Canadians will be tired of it this morning, but I think they can be hopeful that we have some stability in the country for the next few years.
With another minority government for the Liberals, because as you know, that was the case in 2019, 2021, how big of a mandate do you think he actually has, though?
I think he has a very strong mandate, actually. When you do the math, Todd, just on the seats as they stand this minute, with 168 Liberal seats plus 7 NDP plus 1 Green, that takes you over the majority, even without the Green. And if the Bloc seek to cooperate with the Liberals to get things done, the shenanigans that closed out Parliament, where everything was stalled, Canadians don't want that. That's not good for the country. And I even heard Mr. Poilievre in his concession speech last night say that he is going to work for what's best for Canada when it comes to trade. So hopefully Parliament will function with the cooperation of all the opposition parties, as Parliament should. That is, debates, opposition, votes, legislation. People can things will move, things will get done. And the first thing that'll be cut is the carbon tax in the legislation. The legislation will come through on that when Mr. Carney comes back at the end of May with the House of Commons.
Politically speaking, let me ask you this. Why is it in the interest of Pierre Poilievre to work with another Liberal minority government when he increased his seat count, increased his voter turnout as well? Susan, your read on that, because as he was giving his speech, sounded a little bit like a victory speech, or perhaps a speech saying, until next time.
I want to congratulate Mr. Poilievre on his campaign. I want to congratulate Mr. Singh on his campaign. They both lost their seats. Mr. Singh immediately resigned. Mr. Poilievre will have to test the will of his caucus. He'll have to test the Reform Act, which the Conservatives usually adopt, which means 20% of the caucus at any time can say, we would like to have a vote on the leadership. I don't think that's what Mr. Poilievre seeks to do, and I don't think anyone in the country wants to plunge back into an election right now. Mr. Carney had a win. The Liberals have seats everywhere across the country. We picked up a seat in Saskatchewan, in Manitoba, new seats, different seats in Alberta, seats in BC, in places we didn't have them before, in Atlantic Canada. So Mr. Carney has a strong mandate to do what's right for Canada. And I think Mr. Poilievre, as he seeks to regroup after what happened to himself in his own seat and to the party, he has to regroup and figure out what's best for Canada. And having a multi-front battle is probably not best right after a big federal election.
How do you go about passing legislation in a minority situation? You've got 7 NDPs there, and again, the numbers could change, but if that's what it ends up looking like, give or take, what are you looking at here, Susan? What do you think?
It's all math, Todd.
Yes.
You just need a majority of the votes. So with the Liberal seats, if they stay at 168 plus 7 NDP seats, that's 175. A majority is 172. If a couple of Bloc leaders support, all they need is 4 to get to that majority for any kind of legislation. That's how things will pass. Mr. Blanchet said today in his press conference that he will cooperate with the government of Canada. He will always advance the interests of Quebec. That's what he does. But I think Quebecers very resoundingly also said that they believe they are stronger within a strong Canada as we deal with the #1 issue, and that is Mr. Trump. And guess who isn't going anywhere for nearly the next 4 years? And that's Donald Trump. And we need to make sure the Canadian economy is sound and ready and pivots and ready to handle that. And that's what Mr. Carney presented to Canadians. And that's what Canadians said, yes, please, sir.
Quickly before we go, I'm almost out of time. In Alberta, 64%, give or take, of people voted for the Conservatives. In neighboring Saskatchewan, the number was even a little bit higher, about 65%, Susan. What's going to happen now? In terms of Western alienation, here we go again. Another Liberal Party, another Liberal Prime Minister. You can understand there's a lot of anger and frustration in those parts of the country today by those voters.
Well, I think a lot of your listeners remember Stephen Harper as the Prime Minister for 10 years. So that's the neat thing about democracy in this country is people get a chance to choose. And anybody can put their name forward to be a candidate. People can step forward and try to be a leader. And that's the way it works in this country. Mr. Carney was very clear. He will govern for all Canadians. He will invoke humility, ambition, unity, kindness, growing the country, growing the economy for all Canadians. He spoke in French. He addressed Quebecers. He talked to Westerners. He's an Albertan himself. He's also from the north, from where he was born. I expect that. That's what prime ministers do. And that's what I found his speech quite inspirational last night. And I encourage people to have a listen to it. It's what we need to just settle the temperature in the country, focus on what matters, which is the economy, affordability, getting houses built for people, making sure that people who are impacted by the tariffs are supported. That's what he committed to doing with programs for workers and businesses. That's what we need to be focused on. And I think people have had enough of anger and division. And I suspect that a very, very high percentage of those Albertans are very proud of their Canadian passports and fundamentally believe in Canada.
Susan Smith with her take, Liberal strategist, co-founder of Blue Sky Strategy. She is in Ottawa today. Thank you, Susan. Good to see you.